And this is how the story goes. You must believe it all, my friend, from the beginning to the end. 'Cause everyone lives forever, we just have to choose where, my friend. And this is how the story goes. You must believe it all, my friend, from the beginning to the end. 'Cause everyone lives forever, we just have to choose where.
Got a chance to talk with John Elefante this morning. Thank you for taking time out to do that this morning. So you've got a lot going on right now. You've released a new album this year, as well as right now you've got a amazing music video going on right now. Let's kind of start talking about some of that right now. So talk about the music video first, and that's just something that's been going on really big right now. What's the story behind it? What's the purpose behind it? How did you come up with the idea of that?
Well, I'll tell you exactly how I came up with the idea for the video, and thank you for having me on the show, by the way. The story is based on how my daughter came into the world and how she almost didn't come into the world. Her birth, she's adopted, and her birth mother, who was 13, was going to abort her. I mean, very, very young to have a baby, 13. And she was all set to abort her, and changed her mind and called her mom from the abortion clinic, and her mom said, "Get out of there right away." And she did, and thank God she did, choose life. She's now 20 years old, very well adjusted. But the video runs through lots of different imagery that really brings the song to life. A lot of times videos, they can either make or break the song. You could take a good song and the video will be bad, or sometimes you have a bad song and the video can make it better. I think this is a perfect marriage between the lyric of the song and the visual. It's really, really caught on. It's opened a lot of doors for me that I didn't write the song to have doors opened. I didn't write the song to revive my career or but God has been doing some amazing things, and I didn't really set out to write a pro-life song or a anti-abortion song. I simply set out to write a story about how my daughter came into the world, and it's really, really struck a nerve with hundreds of thousands of people.
Wow. It's definitely made an impact on a lot of people. I've seen a lot of great stories coming from the impact that this has made on a lot of people. So let's talk a little bit about oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that we now have, here's the great thing about it, is we now have testimony from three lives that have been saved as a result of this video. And I remember after I wrote the song, I just said to the Lord, Lord, if we could just save one life with this song. I mean, I sensed the power in the song after I finished it. If we could just save one life, and we've saved 3.
Wow.
So that's 3 babies that are coming into the world that might not have, which is awesome.
Now, because of some of the impact that's being made, is there any kind of ideas or thoughts on a movement or projects or anything to continue from this?
I'm not really sure. I think that, like I said, doors are opening rapidly for me that I never expected to open. I didn't. If you would have told me 2 years ago that I'd be going on the Mike Huckabee show to discuss, the song and video, I would have never believed it. It's like, God works in mysterious ways, and I'm living proof. Because I certainly would, I didn't set out on this path really, and it's just the path that God has chosen for me. And when the path is paved, you must walk it, as they say.
There's some really
especially when God has paved that path.
Yeah. There's been some really cool opportunities from this, and a lot of great things that have come from it. It's been really cool to watch. So you've also done something else this year. You've also released a new album. Talk to me a little bit about that. Where did that come from? Kind of what was the whole theme behind that, and kind of influenced the musical stylings and everything like that?
Well, it's the record came out in May. It's called On My Way to the Sun. It was a result of I have to start by saying this. A lot of artists now, I mean, the record business is in such bad financial shape because of, illegal downloads and pirating, and a lot of people are just not buying physical product anymore. They're either going to iTunes or Pandora, or, it's just the business just does not have record budgets anymore. So we did a thing called the Kickstarter campaign, which is a crowdfunding thing, which I go to my fans and they help support me to make a record, which is a lot of artists are doing it now. Just about everybody I know. So we did a Kickstarter campaign and raised enough money to make the record, and I made the record, and it's probably one of the only records I've ever made that I'm able to listen to right after I finished it, because I like it. It's a very vertical record. It's probably the most vertical record that I've ever made. The song This Time in the video appears on it. Stylistically, it's melodic rock. It's I don't know if I want to say classic rock. Some people classify it as that.
Got some hints of that.
Oh yeah, but it's definitely melodic rock. I mean, big harmonies and lots of melodies and lots of guitar and lots of vocals and the stuff that that I know a lot of my fans really love and miss in some music today.
Yeah, it's really cool to see that again, because, I mean, it's not something you see much of anymore, that particular sound. It's kind of a lost art nowadays, because everybody's trying to do something different, the
comment that I'm getting back from when I give the record out to friends, what they say to me is, gosh, nobody's making music like this anymore. Why not?
Yeah.
I don't know how to answer that question. I think a lot of the classic rock bands, although they're capable of still doing it, I think they're so busy on the road because there's not much money in the record business per se anymore. So they're out on the road just playing all their classic hits, and there's really no need to make a new record.
Oh yeah. And even still, a lot of the guys from that era, if they try to do something new, it sounds like something new. It doesn't have that old classic rock sound that everybody misses. And that's something I think that with this album, I think it strikes that chord really well. Yeah, well,
my fans certainly think so.
So kind of going on that classic rock here a little bit, I want to kind of talk about where you've come from. You've had quite an interesting story in the different things you've done, to all the different places you've been and opportunities you've had. So let's talk about kind of, I want to start with just how did you get into the music business, and then how did you get into the Christian music business? I know you have quite an interesting story with that, so let's start there.
Well, we'd probably need an hour and a half for me to take you through the whole journey, but I'll capsulize it if I could. I've been in the music business, actually doing it professionally since I was, I think, 12 or 13 years old. Me and my brother and my two cousins had a band called the Brotherhood in Southern California, and we just started getting hired to play like junior high school proms and high school high school dances, and just we were doing paid gigs all the time. I mean, we were really a good band. We had we were a top 40 band, played all the current hits and stuff. And then we got hired to play at Disneyland, and some people from California will know where Knott's Berry Farm is. We played a whole summer at Knott's Berry Farm, and I started at a very young age, and just and I've done it professionally all my life. And I got saved when I was about 20 years old, and then I joined the group Kansas, which was a major leap from Disneyland to one of the biggest rock bands in the world, and that was quite an experience for me. When I left Kansas, we started getting phone calls, about producing. I was out shopping another record deal for myself, and my brother, who's my partner, would he started getting calls. Would you, like from Petra, we went on to produce about 12 Petra records. Would you be interested in producing our record? So we just kind of, like the accidental tourist, we stumbled upon producing. People really liked what we did, and we built our own studio, and it just kind of took on a life of its own. And I'm sitting there thinking, when am I going to, when's it my turn to make a solo record for myself? And at that point in time, I was kind of having to shelve that because we were so busy producing. We caught on pretty big and started our own record company, and I have to say that when I first started producing, I didn't know a lot about the Christian music business at first, and I found out that it was much more than just a business. I'd go to see some of these bands that we were producing live, and I'd see these people getting saved and accepting Christ at these concerts, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is way more than just music. So it really placed a high level of importance on every record I produced from that point on.
Wow. So I want to ask you a little bit about that. You're saying you've been part of Kansas. How did that you became a Christian? You became part of Kansas. How is that environment for a Christian? I know. There's definitely some Christian influences in the band already, but how is it to keep up being a Christian in one of the biggest rock bands of that time, and still go on living that Christian life?
It's not easy. I'd be lying if I said it was easy. I was a baby Christian, and there's a lot of temptation. You suddenly have power and money, and you have a lot of temptation around you, and it's. I definitely had my share of bumps in the road, if you will. It's a big world out there with a lot of temptation, and I'd be lying if I said it didn't go to my head somewhat, and I had to reevaluate myself several times, or God had to, and get me back on the right path. But it wasn't easy. The world certainly doesn't, for the most part, doesn't want. Christian at Kansas had started transitioning into lyrics that were pretty vertical. Talking about the Lord, and till you face the one who rose, and suddenly, all the interviews that we were doing, both print and radio and TV and otherwise, they all wanted to know about the Christianity. That's all they wanted to talk about. That was the big story, because everybody already knew who Kansas was. So tell us about the conversion to Christianity and what it means to the band. The same question you just asked me. So that was the big story, and it was pretty remarkable. I'm not sure if the record company really liked it much. They deemed it kind of, Kansas is becoming a religious band or something. But the fans of Kansas didn't seem to mind, because Kansas had always had a spiritual overtone to their lyrics. It's just this time they weren't just asking questions; they were kind of giving answers, which makes for a whole different story.
Yeah, I think it's really cool, because there's a lot of there was a lot of opportunities that were able to come of that. A lot of people got to hear something they wouldn't hear, which is really cool. You've been doing music for a long time and had a lot of amazing opportunities. I want to know, out of all the things you've done, what was kind of some of your favorite things you've done? And projects, people you worked with, shows, just what has been some of your favorite things you've done?
Oh gosh, I always love doing the big outdoor multiple band concerts, like in stadiums and stuff. Mm-hmm. That was the most, I can't even tell you how exhilarating that is. I used to love those. In the studio, I loved, we had the opportunity to have a song on the soundtrack of the movie St. Elmo's Fire, and we got to produce alongside of David Foster. That was definitely a highlight. I mean, he was the most successful producer in the world at the time, and still does very well. Some of the funnest things. You know, I'll tell you, some of the funnest things are not the biggest things. I would say when you come up with a song that you just know is a killer, you know, that you just know is a great song. And I always enjoy doing that because you don't always, you know, every song isn't always your best or the best thing you've ever done. But when you come up with that one song, like when my brother and I wrote the song Fight Fire with Fire that went to #1 on the rock chart for Kansas, we both knew we had a really big song. We wrote the song very quick, and we knew we had a big song. So, I mean, that's definitely a highlight, too, and that still happens in my life. There's a few songs on my new record that I knew that were going to be very important songs, and the song This Time being one of them. You just really know when you have something special. And it's always great to, when you write it, to know that you have something special, and then when you start getting the reaction back from the audience, you know, they confirm that, yes, this is a special song.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. I like that a lot. So do you see any kind of ministry opportunities in your near future as far as just through your music or through otherwise? Just something that you've been in on a day-to-day basis or through an organization or anything like that? Is there somebody that you work with for advice that you ministry that you try to do anything like that?
Oh yeah, I mean there's so many opportunities for ministry that are coming along more now than ever, because I think I've had such a long career and people want to hear about it. And in my new record and this video, like I said, has opened many doors. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention an organization that I am working with called onlineforlife.org, which helps is a nonprofit organization that helps young women, you know, facing the abortion issue. And they're just a fabulous organization, and I couldn't have made this video without them, because they paid for it. So they're largely responsible for everything that, you know, all the ministry opportunity that I've been given because of the video. You know, I didn't have the song didn't get the attention that it's getting until the video was put out on YouTube and on Online for Life on their site. So I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities, you know, with my partnership with them, you know, for lots of different areas of ministry for sure.
That is so cool. And one of the things I always like to do is just to kind of show what your main focus is and things. I always like to ask a simple question. And I like to hear, because people with all the different years of experiences and things that they've done and things, you know, they've been through, it provides a very unique answer each time. My simple question is, through everything you've been through and everything, and what is one message you would find most important to share with anybody listening right now? What would be the thing you would find most valuable that somebody needs to know?
Well, I would say this. Life is meaningless without Christ. In my opinion, life is meaningless without Christ. There's really no more to say other than that. There's nothing after that. I mean, life is just meaningless without Christ.
Awesome. Thank you for taking time out to do this interview today. Where can we find the new album? Where can we find this music video? Where can we purchase it? What can we do to support your ministry through this?
The video appears on JohnElefante.com, and it appears on ThisTimeForKeeps.com, which I recommend people go there. ThisTimeForKeeps.com, which is a site that OnlineForLife.org has set up. The album's available on iTunes and anywhere you can buy online music, and it's also available on Amazon.com, BestBuy.com, Target.com. You know, we're going mostly the .com route because people aren't going in the stores and buying CDs that much anymore. You know, Amazon is so easy these days. I think we've probably sold, out of our physical product, we've probably sold half our records on Amazon.
Well, yeah, I really appreciate you taking time out to do that. Thank you very much.
Oh, it was a pleasure. Thank you.